Welcome to Public Health on Call, a podcast from the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health, where we bring evidence, experience, and perspective to make sense of today's leading health challenges. If you have questions or ideas for us, please send an email to publichealthquestion@jhu.edu. That's publichealthquestion@jhu.edu for future podcast episodes.
Hi, I'm Lindsay Smith-Rogers, producer of Public Health on Call. Last summer, guest host Shelley Hearne and David Kieve, president of the Environmental Defense Action Fund, found themselves facing down a tiny but fierce golden plover, a bird known for its migratory patterns from Alaska to Hawaii, and a canary in the coal mine for climate change. A few months later, Shelley and David meet again on the South Lawn of the White House to celebrate the passing of the new climate bill and discuss what it took to get this massive piece of legislation to the finish line, and what lessons we can learn from the tiny but fierce migratory bird about persistence and protection. Let's listen.
It's the golden plover greeting on the Arctic tundra on the coastal plain of the Arctic National Refuge. How blank cool is this?
Pretty blank cool.
I think over these past few days, he's, or she, kind of knows you.
Yeah, we're buds.
I do worry that, those golden plovers are the canary in the coal mine. And that's is a cry for help because it's going towards its nest. But there also may be, as some of these birds are dwindling in numbers and having a harder time finding their food. They can't really be thinking about climate, but I know you are.
Yeah, I mean, our guide has commented over and over again on how small some of the caribou we've seen out here are. I've not ever been here before, so I can't compare how many plovers we've seen versus other seasons and other years. All I can do is take experts' word for it. But it's clear to me, and I'm sure it's clear to you, what a special place this is for all of these animals and what a special place this is in our overall ecosystem. Not just for the birds who make this their home all of the time, but for all of the migratory birds who travel great distance to come here to breed and make their nest and then go sometimes as far as about halfway around the world.
All right. This golden plover is almost on top of us because we must be getting near its nest. And it's one bad mother bird that you don't want to mess with. But I kind of feel like we need to be that badass bird in trying to protect this area. And it's not just for the birds, but it's for the people too. Oh my. It's like gonna... Hi. Okay, we'll protect the climate.
David, last time I was with you, we were being chased by a golden plover.
It was a terrifying bird.
Well, it was a symbol of the climate is at risk in the Arctic. And where are we right now?
We're on the South Lawn of the White House, Shelley.
Woo-hoo! And it seems like the right music. Why?
Because we're celebrating. We're celebrating the fact that our government has taken huge steps forward, the biggest piece of federal legislation we've ever seen to tackle the climate crisis. That's going to reduce emissions by 40% versus 2005 levels within the next decade. It's awesome.
Dude, this is all right. Now, here's what I want to get at, because this matters for the climate, it matters for human health, but what I really want to know is, how did this happen? You've been working on environmental issues, and we've been working on climate. What's the advocacy message that you got on there of what it takes to get something this massive to
So I think one is, first of all, don't ever quit. Keep your eye on the prize. Know how important what you're trying to do is for the planet and for the whole world and for everybody who lives in it. And then the second piece is, and this is where the president deserves a whole lot of credit, you get a lot further if you don't question somebody else's motives. Even in the times when it seemed really, really dark, when Senator Manchin seemed like he was walking away from the table, after a week or two, he'd come back and say, we aren't that far apart on the whole climate thing. Maybe we should just do that. Eventually we did, along with a lot of other really important stuff, like lowering prescription drug costs for seniors and shoring up our healthcare system. So this is a truly historic piece of legislation. And the number of times that we thought that it was not going to move forward, I'd probably have to take off my socks to count.
So persistence. And I think I'm also hearing a little bit of a message. I mean, Joe Manchin is a Democrat, but I know you've worked on a whole variety of issues. You've been part of the Affordable Care Act. You've seen massive environmental legislation. You've been on many different fronts. Partisanship is out there, but how do you navigate it? And is it always your friend?
Yeah, I go back to the last time I was here on the South Lawn of the White House, which was for the signing ceremony for the bipartisan infrastructure law. When they announced that deal, we saw Democrats and Republicans walking out with the president with huge smiles on their faces and huge sighs of relief. I think for most people who come to Washington to represent their constituents in the Senate or the House of Representatives, they want to get something done. It's why they decided they were going to seek elected office in the first place. Giving them an opportunity to do that means a lot to them, and it means a whole lot to the country, because it's what we ought to all expect out of our elected officials.
Well, and we saw that on gun violence prevention, another bill that was bipartisan, another unexpected win. So going forward, public health advocates who are trying to build more and more political will, and this is a first start, what lessons from your past and success, building upon this, what else do you have to whisper into the ears of future public health leaders?
I think you get a lot further with bipartisan work where you can do something via compromise. I think starting with the principles of what you're trying to lay out and going earnestly to every single lawmaker and sharing what your goals are and asking for their help and crafting legislation that'll help you get there is a really, really good place to start. And then just working doggedly in face of setback after setback and never giving up and doing everything that you can to keep it moving forward is exactly what's needed.
So wins don't happen overnight. You gotta build those relationships, you gotta stay persistent, and you gotta work across party lines.
Gosh, yes.
Formula for success. Let's go listen to some more music on the South Lawn.
Let's do it.
All right. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Public Health on Call is a podcast from the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health, produced by Joshua Sharfstein, Lindsay Smith-Rogers, and Stephanie Desmond. Audio production by J.B. Arbogast, Holly Cardinale, Philip Porter, Spencer Greer, and Matthew Martin, with support from Chip Hickey. Distribution by Nick Moran. Production support from Catherine Ricardo. Social media run by Grace Fernandez and Shian Briscoe. If you have questions or ideas for us, please send an email to publichealthquestion@jhu.edu. That's publichealthquestion@jhu.edu for future podcast episodes. Thank you for listening.